Hi, my name is Mark Smith, and I'm the founder and director of Family Tree Counseling Associates in Carmel, Indiana, which is right around Indianapolis, north side. And I am also the author of the ebook Managing Abandonment Issues Through Recovery. And I'm sending this link to people that have been on my mailing list who've signed up to learn more about my ebooks, and specifically the ebook on abandonment. And I just wanted to tell you that I'm having a super sale of sorts this week, and that is the book, which I, since its release in October, have mainly sold it for $14.95, but you can get it just this next week for $9.95. So if you've been just busy with the holidays or reading another book and you just haven't gotten around to, you sort of mean to maybe buy the book on abandonment and read, now's the time. This is the week. Go ahead and download it at $9.95, even if you're not going to be able to get to it for a week or two or three. So I wanted to tell you first a little bit more about myself. I've been a marriage counselor and a therapist in the Indianapolis area for 27 years now. And as I said, I started an organization called Family Tree Counseling Associates, which is one of the larger marriage counseling practices in Indianapolis. I have 12 therapists who work for me, and we all use a very similar approach that I taught them, and that is major focus on your family of origin issues, as in, you marry your issues. So if you grow up being abandoned, you will definitely pick somebody who will ultimately abandon you in your relationship, in your marriage. So it's a wonderful practice, a wonderful place. It's thriving. It's the door just opens and shuts a lot, and there's people going in and out. We've got 7 or 8 weekly therapy groups. As a writer, I used to have a newspaper column in a town near Indianapolis. I've done some writing for Christianity Today, and I have a weekly blog that's pretty popular called Relationship Jazz. You can get to it from our website. And it's so far this month has had 17,000 visitors in 16 days. So people find it on Google, and my style is pretty simple, pretty folksy, pretty direct, but people seem to like the writing, and the topics really are jarring and really grab hold of your heart. So I have 4 other ebooks, 2 of which I give away, as you guys know who are on the list. I give those away as a thank you for people who join the list. And then I also have 2 other ebooks that are for sale on the website. One about male counterdependency, which is basically macho alpha males who are too much that way and it causes a problem. And then the other book is about affair recovery, and I call it The Secret to Healing Your Marriage After an Affair. These are a little bit shorter books, and they are $7.95. So that's a little bit of background about my history as a writer. I've only been selling my books since October of this past year, but I plan to be doing this for many years. My next project, which I will start any day now, is a book on the subject of shame. The subject of abandonment had one great book already on abandonment, but it had some limitations, so I felt like I needed to write a book on that. And shame is the same way. There is one great book on the subject of shame. Of course, I'm talking about John Bradshaw's book, Healing the Shame That Binds You. And I've referred to that book to my clients more than probably any other book through the years, but it has some limitations. And it's just the guy, John Bradshaw, is very intellectual and philosophical. He was a philosophy professor, former Jesuit priest, And he just used lots of big words. And sometimes it just takes people a long time to get through it because it really appeals to your head, whereas I appeal more to your gut and your heart. And I don't use, quite as big of words. And I just think that, there's a lot to be said about this subject. Shame and abandonment are just the two things that we work with most in marital issues and relationship issues. As well, a frickin' frack of emotional pain, if you will. So let me tell you, most of you have watched some videos. You've gotten a lot of emails from me about this book. You've maybe had somewhat of an interest, but I just wanted to reiterate, why should you buy this book? Well, if you have abandonment issues, and let me sort of define that and give you some examples. It's just crazy jealousy. I call it the crazy dance, where one or both partners is just super sensitive to real or perceived backing up by the other person. So let me give you some classic examples of that. The first classic example would be you're at a family function and your significant other arrives 15 minutes late. And, it's really not a big deal. They probably had a reason for being late. Most people are maybe this upset about it. It's not that big a deal. If it happened all the time, maybe it would be a little bit more big of a deal. But if you have abandonment issues, that sometimes, instead of reacting like this, it's bigger than the room. Where people get reactive and they have big ugly fights and they're snippy and it's ugly. So the other classic example is, let's say a husband and wife are out to dinner and the wife has abandonment issues and the husband goes beyond the 2-second allotment of staring at an attractive woman across the room, or I don't know how long it is, if there even is a timing of that, but there seems to be something where you can just glance and notice, hey, there's an attractive person, and then there's sort of staring and ogling, the women call it, ogling the women. And where the wife would get really upset, and the husband didn't even know he did it, wasn't even hardly aware that he did it, and the wife gets really upset, and maybe it's their anniversary and they're trying to be romantic and they have a big ugly fight and there's yelling and screaming and door slamming and threats of divorce and drama. There's an example. So if you got that, you need this book, because this book is the best product on the market to help you understand that, why it happens, what it's rooted in, and how you deal with it. So if you don't have that, you don't need this book. That oversensitive, jealousy, ouchy, pouty thing. Another example, classic example, is a fella doesn't get sex. He's looking to get sex one night, and his wife's just not interested or in the mood, and he just pouts and carries on and doesn't talk with her for a couple days, and acts like a child, basically. And it is. He's acting like his inner child. So those are examples of abandonment issues and that we deal with all the time. So let me tell you about this book and why I think this book would be helpful to you if you have those issues. I focus on my whole career as a therapist and draw from those experiences and discuss 20 couples that I've worked with through the years. And I talk about every possible kind of abandonment issue that you can think of, and from all kinds of different directions. So I go into depth. I of course change the names and a lot of the identifying information, but these are real people with real problems, and I think you'll find it quite interesting. I think you'll probably run across a couple or two that sound just like you, and it'll give you the direction you need to understand. The first thing about recovery is just knowing your issues, is you got to understand your stuff. You got to see it, you got to know where it comes from, and you got to have deep insight into yourself. before you can sort of step back and be objective. So that's the first order of business in recovery, and that's what this book will help you to do when it comes to abandonment, whether you're the person with abandonment or whether you're the person who's in a relationship with somebody who has abandonment. Either way, you've got to know your stuff and really be able to break it down so that you're not caught by surprise and end up having a big ugly fight that you really didn't need to have. Another, I think, really intriguing thing about this book, and it's just the nature of our digital world, I find it personally a little bit dry to just sit and read a book. It just, my imagination can take in the information, but we're used to iPhones and computers, and it's a digital age. And so with my book that you download, it's a PDF file, but there's 46 live links. And as I'm talking about a particular topic, I'll have a link where you can learn more about shame, or watch a video about a particular type of abandonment, or watch a movie scene that I talk about, or watch a music video, or read another article, or read a blog. 46 links, and it just keeps it exciting. You learn with multimedia, various types of media, not just reading a book. So I had never seen that done. I'm sure it is done with other ebooks, but I think your experience will be that. It'll be an experience. It won't be just reading a book. So another thing is be assured that great therapists are not made in graduate school. A great therapist is actually made on the therapy couch doing his own work. And our whole approach is based in doing our own work, healing our own childhood wounds, because therapists have issues, and they have probably more issues than the average person. So I also have a childhood where I was pretty significantly abandoned as a child, and had some abandonment issues through the years in my life. And I go into depth with that and actually share quite a bit of my own emotional pain. And I do that to teach you and to help you understand that if you have this ravenously needy creature inside you, don't shame yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't look at it as a moral issue. It's more of an illness. And I talk in depth about my own struggles and my own issues, and I think it'll be very helpful to you. So I also focus a lot on the recovery process. Anybody who tells you can heal your abandonment issues, not so much. If you go through 2, 3, 4, 5 years of therapy, you might heal about 30% of it, but that's about as good as it gets. These are deep, primitive, infantile issues that just go way back in time. There's an ancient inner infant deep down inside of you, and it doesn't get that much better, frankly. But the thing is the more insight you have, the more objective you can be, and you can step back from the conflict, and you can not react, and you can make choices. And you can talk about your feelings, you can set boundaries, and not be sort of snookered into a fight that you don't have to be snookered into by your issues or by your significant other. The other main paradigm shift with this is just understand if you're being abandoned, or if you're in a relationship with somebody with some pretty wicked, ugly abandonment issues, just know this, that you have not been victimized. There are no victims in relationships. So that's where people can really get reactive, is if they play the role of a victim. And they feel something's unfair, they get reactive, they have a hair trigger on their conflict starting because they feel like a victim. But what you'll learn through this book is, you get exactly what you signed on for. And in your heart of hearts, you knew who that person was, and you knew what they brought you. You didn't know it up here. You'd have ran the other direction if you knew it up here, but you knew it in your heart. You knew that they, were going to abandon you, and that's why you liked them, frankly. So, abandonment issues are sort of like diabetes. You don't heal them, you manage them. I was having dinner Monday night with a fellow I knew since junior high, and he has been diagnosed as diabetic since junior high, and he was just talking about some of his struggles with insulin and diet through the years, that it's not always perfect, but his is pretty perfect. He's lived a pretty normal life because he's been highly disciplined and focused when it comes to dealing with his dealing with his diabetes. And it's the same way with abandonment issues. If you're aware of your issues, if you're focusing on your own recovery process, if you're not being a victim, if you know what your triggers are, then you can live a much more normal life, not tossed to and fro by all the drama that goes with people with abandonment issues. It can really root you in stability instead of there being all the craziness and the jealousy and the reactivity. So if that's you, get this book, download it. It's only $9.95. That's not very much. And it will change your life, and it will give you some tools that you didn't have before. The biggest thing about recovering from abandonment is having insight so you can be objective, so you can step back, so that you can manage and make choices and not just react. So anyway, I hope this video has been helpful. I encourage you to download the book, and I thank you for watching. God bless.